The PC GPU market is often like a game of chess. New pieces and players come in, and the choices made, both from manufacturers and consumers, are largely tactical. But in the burgeoning days of the home consumer market, as we know it now, all started in the mid to late 90s. As a PC builder back then, I used to look for new hardware suppliers that would offer better value on existing 3D graphics accelerators over the established brands of Diamond, Orchid, Hercules, S3 amongst others. Starting the early ATI Wonder, the S3 Verge, and later the dominating 3DFX and even TNT2 cards could have a premium price. Then smaller companies like Sparkle entered the fray, offering the same core hardware specification and performance at far more affordable prices. In recent years, we've seen a similar path with new hardware partners offering existing GPUs in the same cost-effective manner with less bells and whistles but all of the blowing power. And with Aisurix, we have a new contender that has deals with AMD and Nvidia, offering Radeon, GeForce and even RTX cards across a growing range. Today I'm testing out the best of the GCN range on the RX580, the 2048 SP edition that offers an excellent 1080p and VR gaming performance for a tiny budget, and pitting it against a current gen console in the Xbox Series S to see, is this the best strategic move in the chessboard of gaming? Now, this RX580 was supplied by Aisurix as part of their growing range of GPUs. This card was, in many ways, the beginning of AMD's rise back to the sharp end of the GPU market. Landing as a two-pronged attack alongside their Zen CPUs in 2017, this 4th generation Polaris model of the GCN architecture, similar to what powers the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. Here we have a large 8GB model which offers a decent amount of VRAM to see it continue this generation as a 1080p gaming choice. The 32 compute units offer 2048 shader processors, and it's paired with fast GDDR5 RAM that can easily be overclocked within the AMD Adrenalin panel, meaning 8GB per second offers 256GB of bandwidth. At base clocks, we have 1168 MHz core with 1244 MHz boost, and we can gain a solid and stable 200 plus MHz on that, giving us around 5.6 teraflops of power and that 256 GB of bandwidth. Close to the Xbox One X power levels and over the PS4 Pro and the Xbox Series S in GPU grunt and bandwidth, which is where I'll spend most of my time comparing this GPU. Now, this is the same 14nm FinFET fabrication node, but it is still approximately half the size of my older XFX 580 card, whilst using less power, taking up far less space, meaning it will fit in a wider range of ATX and micro ATX towers, and yet still offers similar levels of performance with a lower TDP and heat output. Now, to be clear, this is a 1080p card first and foremost, but that doesn't mean it is limited to 1080p for two reasons. One, it has more than enough VRAM to deliver full 4K gaming on many older titles, even at plus 60 FPS frame rates. And in addition to that, because of the newer AMD supports in FSR1 and FSR2, they're all backwards compatible with GCN architecture, giving additional lifespan to older cards like this, and I will heavily rely on those in a lot of the tests here to push above 1080p, and in many ways you get better image quality using FSR2 than you would using native 1080p. Now, with the specs out of the way, let's get the card into some action. To ensure we are as close to GPU bound at all times, the machine is running on a 4.8 GHz Zen 3 5600X paired with 32GB of DDR4, 3600 MHz RAM, a 6GB per second SSD, running on a Gigabyte X570 AM4 motherboard, and the card supports PCIe 3x16. Taking Far Cry 6 first, we have a title that we can run a mixture of high and medium settings on a 4K FSR1 performance level and gain visual quality that is far superior to 1080p and closer to 1440p and above on a 4K screen. Now, in exploration, we stick to or are close to that 60 FPS target we have, but we can drop into the high 40s in heavy alpha and jungle battles. A more realistic target is dropping the output by 30% to 1800p, still using FSR, but we now have enough headroom to only dip on some heavy stutters, which the game can have all the time and it's not GPU related, and into the high 50s during heavy combat, making this a modern game that this card can run with textures set to ultra and effects on high at close to next generation console levels. A strong first start in our performance review, and compared to the Xbox Series S version, which runs at 1440p down to 1080p DRS with lower texture quality, we have superior image quality, effects and performance over that current generation console, making this a much better choice for this Dunia powered game. Next, we have the classic Resident Evil 2 title being reinvigorated in a remake from 4 years ago now and updated for current gen and PC last year. Here with the settings above the current generation consoles in some areas, set at 1440p, we can hover close to 60 FPS, but we're never locked at this point. But fear not, as the reconstruction interlace mode can help out here, as per the Xbox Series S version. Again, at 1440p, we now have sufficient headroom to remain above that 60 FPS target throughout heavy action, lighting, and zombie action, with image quality that is far superior to a 1080p output. Even if the hair in alpha can still have some shimmer at times, this is a result of the older interlace method the engine used here, which we will see again soon in the RE4 release coming next, but a far superior version in that newer title. Going through the Raccoon Police Station battle, we average into the high 70s in a 10+ minute tested section of play, including real-time cutscenes, and this is above the same level and quality as the Series S version running without ray tracing. Once that is enabled on the console, it's often just 30 FPS and sometimes below it, with the average rate of play here being higher than the Series S. Now, if we drop the resolution to a reconstructed 1260p as per the high frame rate mode on the Series S, then we also average into the high 90s, as you can see here with some fast comparisons. The Series S, though, just pips the RX580 here by approximately 6%, making it a close result for this zombie classic, but the superior interlace option on the console does improve the image quality over the PC here. Something that is resolved in RE4, launched only this week, and it can demand a good deal of RAM. And again, the 8GB in this RX580 makes it a viable option to run this with high textures and other effects, which can better this Series S. With the interlace mode and FSR 1 and 2 options in the menu, we can now reverse the Resident Evil 2 situation and instead achieve higher image quality and close to identical performance rates. Here with a 1440p FSR2 mode against the Series S's frame rate mode, which is 1080p interlaced, we can see that both hold close to 60 FPS in this water battle, but the PC now takes the superior image quality thanks to the choice of interlace or that FSR reconstruction method. Again, having the average FPS come as close to a locked 60 FPS as the Series S, but still having the option to push above 60 if you lower the resolution and effects further, which is not possible as of the time of this video on the Series S or indeed the Series X and PlayStation 5. With the superior options on PC, meaning you can choose to have the better resolution and the closer frame rate or better frame rate with almost the same quality of image, and that is one of the big benefits of PC. Further tests on PC mean you can take something like Batman Arkham Knight and run it close to a locked 60 FPS with better image quality than all consoles, including now generation, because there was no update, at 1440p 60 FPS, which is something that wasn't viable at the time of the game's launch. These are one of the benefits of having a newer GPU with older titles, because you gain that benefit of additional performance options, and the RX 580 takes advantage of that here. We get the exact same story with Metal Gear Solid 5, again running it at 1440p, a fully locked 60 FPS, with all the last gen consoles targeting 900p or 1080p. Again, superior image quality with locked performance, although it is pretty much a locked 60 FPS on the Xbox One and PS4. Similar story again with Rise of the Tomb Raider, a very demanding title on consoles and PC alike. 1080p almost max settings gets you a fully locked 60 FPS here, both in the benchmark and gameplay, reinforcing that the card run very demanding games even at 1080p 60. But it's not just older titles that benefit from it. It can play modern titles as well. Spider-Man Miles Morales can run at 1440p FSR2 with DRS engaged, and it fluctuates between 40 and 60 FPS, giving a very viable option to drop some effects and resolution and still get close to that 60 FPS in action, with many areas holding on to 60 FPS without any issues.
Perfect time to try out those new holo drones. Hey, Underground, we gotta stop running into each other.
The same scenario is with Dead Space. The remake here, which can really stress out GPUs alike, can still run close to 1440p using FSR2 again and some dynamic resolution scaling, giving you performance and visual quality that is close to or better than what you see on the Xbox Series S, and it's a very demanding title on the GPU front. We see the same situation with Horizon Zero Dawn, a very demanding title in fill rate and bandwidth, and although this title does really target more of a 30 FPS title on this machine, certainly once you push to 1080p and above, there is still the option to run the title at 900p and get close to that 60 FPS target. And even for the console this game was developed for, in the PS4 and the Pro, it's still a very demanding title on GPU performance. Hogwarts is a title that has a myriad of options, allowing you to run the game at 4K FSR2 performance with a target of 30 FPS, which it does dip below quite often with a combination of medium and low, but that doesn't make it a bad performing title at all. It's very demanding, and due to the fact that it has a very high demand on GPU VRAM, that means many older cards can't run the higher textures and quality that this RX 580 can due to its 8GB of VRAM. You also have the option of improving performance by targeting 1440p again at FSR2 performance, or even going down more aggressively on the ultra performance FSR2 and tweaking settings. 60 FPS is an option, but you will need a fast CPU as well, but this is not a CPU test. Now, as some of my examples have shown, a big advantage of PC is the broadest range of titles to test, meaning some, such as brand new titles in The Last of Us Part 1, are not available on Xbox consoles, and this title really demonstrates the benefits of that AMD suite of Fidelity FX, not only in that adrenaline tuning and tweaking control panel, but also in FSR 1 and 2, which this title enables a good run of better than 4K outputs at a low 30 FPS target or 1080p 60 target, again using FSR2, which can present in many ways a better image than a native 1080p render with superior performance. And even the target the middle ground with FSR2 of 1440p. And that sums up the main benefit of the PC platform by and large, range and choice, albeit with the caveats of complexity and general pros and cons. The RX580 is excellent value for what you get in the box. Yes, this is a no-frills package, but 95% of the time you remove the card from the box, you install it in your tower and you never look at it again. The most important thing is in the quality it delivers on screen, and the RX580 delivers well here for approximately £140 via Amazon. All the links are down below. You have a genuinely cheap entry into medium level gaming at 1080p or 1440p as I've demonstrated here. Yes, it may lack some modern features such as VRR or ray tracing, but these are features the Series S has and will most likely not utilise throughout this generation. And it will compete with the Series S throughput throughout the generation due to superior bandwidth, compute power and overall throughput. And it does include HDR, which is one of the big ticket items of the last generation anyway. With the selection tested here, the RX580 often exceeds the Xbox Series S in most titles, and in many offering superior performance or image quality, and at times both. This is a perfect entry level into PC gaming or a strong upgrade if you have an older 2 or 4GB card such as a GTX 970 or even a 5500 XT with decent performance that will not break the bank. And that's it, another video comparing the consoles to the PC and also just what's out there in the PC space. Remember, I am completely self-funded and independent, so if you like what I do, please like, share, subscribe and all that good stuff because it really helps me. Did you find this useful? Are you on the lookout for a new graphics card? Is this something that takes your fancy, or are you more leaning towards the Nvidia space? We'll have much more coming up in that area very soon, but for now I'm out and I'll catch you on the next one.
What are you doing?
Evening the odds.